Hello and welcome to the Comic Cave. I'm Ramsey, aka Captain Away, and today I'm looking at the 2015 to 2016 series, Superman, Lois and Clark. Not to be confused with the TV series Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. Also not to be confused with the TV series Superman and Lois. That one's still running, so I don't really have a picture for it. Also, my timing is really bad, since apparently last weekend was Superman Day. Yeah, I know, the 1 week I took off from talking about Superman. I should pay more attention to things like, the calendar. But today is Father's Day, so that seems like the perfect opportunity to me to talk about the comic that brought us Superman as a papa. The first real story we get of Supes and his son, Jonathan Kent. To recap, first came Convergence, then came Marriage, then came... oh, wait. Sorry, that's not right. In Convergence, a multiversal version of Brainiac saves multiple cities from multiple different universes before they could be eliminated from ever having existed. I'm sure that makes sense to someone. Included in this sweep of saved people was a version of Superman that we saw with a wife and child. They would then head off to save all of time with some other dead superheroes, like pre-crisis Supergirl and Parallax-possessed Hal Jordan. This super family wouldn't be seen again until 2015's Final Days of Superman arc, where we would see they somehow ended up on the New 52 Earth. How that happened, and just who exactly this Superman, Lois, and new character Jonathan were, and what they've been doing all this time, would then be explained for us in its own series. This one. So let's see if we can get the answers to those questions and take this away. The comic opens on Wonder Woman stabbing Darkseid in the eye? Holy shit, yeah! That's how any good comic should start if you ask me. Suck it, Darkseid. This iconic moment comes from issue 6 of the New 52 Justice League comic, set 5 years before the start of the actual New 52 comics, that featured the members of the Justice League coming together for the first time to stop Darkseid from destroying the Earth. We lived there, so, probably don't want that. This also firmly establishes our story here as taking place in the New 52, and as we see our heroes cleaning up after their apocalyptic battle, we find them being watched by a mysterious figure up on a building. What is that? A bird? A gargoyle? Oh, sorry, I mean grotesque? Oh, it's just Superman. Well, that's disappointing. What's he doing just standing on a building like that? What does he think, he's Batman or something? Don't you know you can fly? Oh, but wait, there was also a Superman down on the ground, and this Superman is wearing more of his classic outfit with the underwear on the outside, and not the Kryptonian battle armor that the New 52 Superman borrowed liberally from Brainiac. So yeah, this means that there are two Supermans, on this New 52 world, because as I covered in the intro, the Superman from before Flashpoint was captured by Multiverse Brainiac with his wife Lois, and while in Brainy's collection, she gave birth to Jonathan. They would then go back into the past to defeat the Anti-Monitor, correcting the multiverse, but still setting the universe onto the path of the New 52. So they found themselves on a younger world that replaced their Earth. And here they took the surname White and settled down in California, across the country from the supposedly East Coast metropolis, on a farm with the home address of 1938. A not very subtle but still fun reference to the year of Superman's first appearance. And no doubt the number was intended as an indicator of which Superman this was supposed to be. The OG Superman, mofos! Lois would take to working for a local newspaper to pay the bills, while Clark took to doing odd jobs for the man who owned the house they moved into. A guy who we can imagine was just about the one person they could find that was willing to let them move in without credentials on the condition that they fixed up the house, which was clearly falling apart when they first moved in. When Darkseid attacked to open up the New 52, classic Superman came very close to revealing himself to the world. Wait. Yeah, it's fine. He didn't though, deciding to let the other him in the Justice League that got its start that day run the show. but he couldn't help pitching in here and there in more behind-the-scene ways, doing things like diving deep inside the Earth's crust to stop earthquakes, or helping to prevent tsunamis or bridge collapses, though he also does end up facing off against a few bad guys despite his low profile. Like this guy who can cause earthquakes and spout lines that sound like they should be the slogan for a Chicago pizzeria, or this psycho-psychic named Blank who thinks killing people is an art form. To stop this latter dude, Soups nearly suffocates him in outer space, before finally deciding he needs to build a special, unique prison just for this guy who says he is always able to escape from any prison within hours. This leads Soups to build his own little fortress of solitude in Colorado, where he can keep especially dangerous villains hidden away from the rest of the world. Though, can I point out that this series is annoyingly refusing to give any location cards anywhere. I only know these locations because they did point out where they were in Final Days of Superman. If you haven't read both series, you just have zero frame of reference for where anything is happening in this story. It's kinda weird and a little annoying. To help Clark out a bit in his superheroing, Lois pretends to be her New 52 counterpart to obtain some kind of prototype outfit from her father's work in the military. I don't think that's really how that works, but okay. Which she then adds a silver Superman logo to in order for him to be more like a ninja Superman. And also give fans a nice throwback to his 90s solar suit that he was wearing to help him power back up after being basically dead during the Return of Superman arc. That also means that the big end fight in Final Days of Superman was actually Solar Superman versus Solar Suit Superman. That's too many S's. Lois soon stops writing for the local newspapers and takes to a career as an investigative reporter, using her insider knowledge of the potential future from her Earth to look into things going on in this new world and break some major stories, earning her recognition as the mysterious Author X. The only other people that know Lois is Author X are Clark and Lois's publisher, this nice woman named Cora Binning, who Lois meets with secretly in dark alleys to ensure that no one can ever discover her true identity. That's especially important as we finally start catching up to the present day in the story, because Lois's next book is going to be about Intergang. In the original DC universe, Intergang was an incredibly dangerous criminal organization that actually was partnered with Darkseid on Apokolips to bring apocalypsean weapons to Earth, giving the gang major advantages over other organizations using regular old Earth weapons. Intergang somehow gets wind of this book and obviously aren't happy about it. They manage to follow Cora to one of these meetings and then follow Lois from the meeting. They attack her after she picks up John from school, driving them off the road, but they didn't expect that pre-Flashpoint Lois could kick some ass, and both she and John managed to knock out their two attackers. I love how cash John is about having just knocked out an adult man with a tire iron. He's like, what? Is this weird? Lois also called in a Code Omega to Clark, a special code they set up for special emergencies. And that gets Soups showing up to knock out the backup, clean up the mess, and get Lois and John out of there. Superman similarly has been doing his own fair share of using his knowledge of potential futures to help out in the here and now. His primary concern in this series is with Excalibur and astronaut Hank Henshaw, way back in the 90s. Henshaw was an astronaut on a spaceship with his family when it got bombarded by weird cosmic rays and they all gained superpowers. Or maybe that was the Fantastic Four. I can never remember. Anyway, he did gain powers, and those powers eventually led to him merging with some computers, and from there became a cyborg man, which would eventually lead to him becoming the Cyborg Superman, who, with the help of Mongrel, would completely and utterly destroy Coast City during the Return of Superman arc. Man, should I just cover Death through Return? I seriously feel like I mention them constantly. Anyway, Soups hopes to prevent that all from happening here, so he attempts to rescue the ship before it crashes, only to find that in some ways he's too late and all the crew are missing. All except for Henshaw. Superman takes Henshaw back to his fortress in order to study him and find out what happened. But that Blank guy somehow manages to take control of Henshaw and uses him to escape and get his revenge on Superman. They fight, destroying much of the fortress, and Superman only comes out victorious thanks to Henshaw climbing into an alien spaceship that Superman had hanging from the ceiling like a model airplane and firing a laser at Blank. Or at least that's what Superman thinks happened. In actuality, the beam came from a stone that Hinshaw had apparently found on Jupiter, and may be how he survived his journey home when everyone else didn't. But for now, he keeps this information from Superman. Considering Hinshaw to not be a threat after all, Supes takes him back to the crash site and leaves him there, so he can be found by the government men searching for him. By now, Intergang has upped their game in their search for Lois, having kidnapped her publisher, Cora. Lois finds this out when she goes to check in on Cora, not having heard from her in a while, and discovers her office empty and a note letting her know that they have her. When she leaves the office in a rush, she's approached by a man who lets her know in no uncertain terms that he has her friend. Oh, wait, no, those are actually very uncertain terms. Kidnapped by Robert Louis Stevenson? Really? What kind of clue is that? Because that's totally his most famous book, not like Treasure Island or Jekyll and Hyde or anything else. No, definitely kidnapped by Robert Louis Stevenson is the first thing I think of when I hear the name Stevenson. Totally. What really clinches it for Lois, though, beyond this Oscar Wildean level wordplay, is the fact that she recognizes the man as Bruno Mannheim, one of the various leaders of the classic Intergang. Which is a little weird cause head honcho types don't usually show up for this kind of grunt work, you would think. So very convenient for us and her that it was someone she would recognize. Superman helps Lois track Cora down and rescue her, thanks to a plan where Lois calls Cora's phone and the kidnappers were so incompetent that they left a device with built-in GPS location powered on this entire time. And that phone has the best battery life any phone has had in the past ever. Also, it helps that she has a distinctive ringtone for Lois for Superman to listen for. Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress by the Hollies. I mean, fair. I can't imagine anyone listening to that song because they wanted to, so obviously very easy to single out. But while Cora is saved from certain doom, the danger isn't over, as some Intergang thugs show up again as Lois is picking up Jonathan from school and kidnap mother and son so they can officially silence Author X. They take her to a shack and set it on fire, so they can burn to death and I guess make it seem like their death was an accident. If they were tied to chairs, I'm not sure how accidental it can really look, but sure, okay. Papa Supes is delayed from rescuing them by a kind of wacky side plot involving this ex-con being given a reality TV show where he pretends to be a supervillain. Only poor management of the situation leads to actual people being put in actual danger. But it's okay because Lois doesn't really need saving, as Jonathan seems to be able to handle it all on his own. The entire series, Lois and Clark have been assuming that Jonathan was just a regular boy for some reason. I mean, come on, he's half Kryptonian. What did you expect, really? They've also been assuming that he's an idiot, as they've been doing an extremely poor job of hiding that his dad is Superman, and boldface lying to him in pretty stupid ways about some of those very obvious giveaways. And I know parents lie to their kids all the time to protect them and shit, and they're worried he'll spill the beans to his friends at school and whatnot, but this gets pretty ridiculous. I mean, earlier when they were attacked by the roadside, Supes flew the car over to where Lois and Jonathan were hiding, and Jonathan noted that it couldn't have been driven there because there weren't any tire tracks, which is actually a really good observation. But Supes just replies, "It's young grass, it bounces back." Really, Supes? Young grass? That's what you're going with? I know you don't want him to know the truth yet, but come on. He's going to internalize that fact and maybe even rely on it at some point in the future. These kinds of lies are how we get grown-ass adults saying shit like, I don't know, hippos can pull airplanes out of the sky or something. It's probably just something a parent once told that person, and that person just kind of absorbed it as fact without questioning it because, you know, that was their parent. And they grew up with that bombshell sitting in the back of their brain, and then bam, you make yourself look like an idiot. I mean, come on. Where was I? Oh, right. So Jonathan, who's not an idiot, is also upset at all his parents' obvious lies, and in his anger doesn't even realize that he snapped his bonds. Then at that point he realizes that the fire isn't burning him and he just walks them right out of the burning building. For once, the gang members weren't complete idiots and stuck around long enough to make sure that the job was done, and realizing that their targets escaped, get frustrated enough to be like, fine, just shoot them. But Superman finally shows up and pulls them both out of the fire. or out of the line of fire, really, because, I mean, they already got out of the fire, and gets them back home to safety. Oh, and then the building just blows up and kills the bad guys, which is a little messed up. Guess Superman no longer cares about saving everyone. I guess it's easier than having to come up with an actual explanation, though, for why these criminals don't just reveal their identities or keep coming after them. Their big secret, obviously blown now, they are forced to admit to John the truth about where they come from, and how his dad is also a Superman, and why John has powers too. And I gotta say, I'm mostly fine with the art in this series, but sometimes it just looks creepy to me. Why does Superman's face look like that when he realizes his son has powers? I don't like it. Before we can end this, we have one more plot thread to conclude, and that sees Henshaw and this government man questioning him being attacked by this warrior woman, Hyathis, who has been going around in the background of the comic this whole time looking for something called the Oblivion Stone, a chunk of which is the thing Henshaw used to help Superman out earlier. Turns out the rest of the stone is also being kept in Superman's fortress, which I'm sure won't lead to another story somewhere down the line. The piece of the Oblivion Stone in his fortress gives Superman a vision of Hyathis being on Earth and attacking Henshaw, so he flies down to the island to confront her. Superman and Hyathis fight, and by the end of the fight, Hyathis is revealed to have super cool hair. Seriously, she looks like a sea urchin. I love it. In the end, Hyathis simply decides this is a fight she can't win and nopes on out of there, leaving Superman to return home to his family and finish explaining his history to his son. He shows Jonathan his old outfit and helps to teach him how to fly, so the comic can end with them declaring that J-Bod is gonna be the new Superboy for the DC Rebirth. Seeing as, you know, we killed the last one. Seriously, that guy. And seriously, let's get to the breakdown. I'm not a big fan of how much mom and dad treat their kid like he's an idiot when he's clearly not, but I guess it's hard to criticize that too much, and they do show them as at least trying to be good parents. I'm also not a big fan of how Stoops keeps talking about this being a darker, more suspicious Earth, but then does things like take the law completely into his own hands, even imprisoning people indefinitely without trial, and even lying to his own wife about it, like how he never told her about his little fortress of solitude, or when he lies about there being nobody in the shuttle when he actually found Henshaw. Maybe this Earth has reason to be suspicious, you know what I mean? Also, as I said, some of the art is a little weird, though mostly I find it to be pretty strong. Aside from those fairly minor complaints, the story is actually pretty fun. It's also really nice getting to see Lois back in action as a reporter after New 52 Lois barely even showed up, other than to make the worst decision possible at the moment. Also, getting to see Superman in his new status quo with his wholesome family life and his own son to become Superboy, representing a nice change of pace from what we got during Superman's New 52 outings. If you're going to be reading any of the Rebirth Superman series, I definitely recommend starting here for a frame of reference, which is why I'm giving this series a recommendation level of high. Good story, good art, and absolutely vital reading to move into the DC Rebirth. Yeah, I think people should probably read this one and will most likely enjoy it as well. The collected edition gets one Superman Shield, which once again is a good thing. 8 issues of a good comic, several bonus covers, and some bonus pre-colored pencil art? What more could you want from a collection? Thanks everybody for watching, and happy Father's Day to all you super dads out there. Gonna take a break for a little bit from Superman to get back to some summer fun stuff. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to, you know, the usual YouTube stuff, like subscribe, etc. Mostly for your benefit, so you can be sure to be here next time, and I hope to see you then, right here, in the Comic Cave.